Good evening and welcome to the December 2021 Board of Commissioners work session. The board did meet in executive session prior to tonight's meeting to discuss legal matters. Mr. Berman, could you please call the roll?
Mr. D'Amelio.
Here.
Commissioner Oliva.
Here.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Here.
Commissioner Siegel.
Here.
Commissioner Cavender.
Here.
Commissioner Holmes.
Here.
Commissioner Wexler.
Here.
Commissioner Quinn.
Here.
Commissioner Hart.
Here. Chief, could you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God,
Indivisible.
liberty and
Justice for all. First item on the agenda, Commissioners Committee updates. Are there any updates? Yes, Mr. Holmes.
Just that next week, before our regularly scheduled, well, once our regularly scheduled meeting starts, it will begin as the second budget hearing. At that budget hearing, we will consider any amendments, any material amendments to the budget, and Ms. Cuthbertson will report back on any changes that have been suggested or are being proposed by the finance department or by the township manager. And this is the week for any commissioner who wants to make any additional suggestions, changes, amendments, et cetera, to the budget to send those to Amy and copy their fellow commissioners on.
Thank you. Any other updates? Chief Viola, police crime update.
Thank you, Commissioner. The monthly chief's report for November 2021, 20 criminal arrests, 1 juvenile arrest, 94 traffic citations were issued, 17 non-traffic, 80 written warnings, 502 parking tickets were issued. We had 1 robbery, and that was at the Sunoco gas station, 400 East Township Line Road, where 2 black males entered the store, produced 2 handguns, and demanded cash from the register. They fled with about $500. If you saw the news tonight, Philadelphia made an arrest. They had multiple jobs, the same thing we had along City Avenue in another section of Philadelphia. They had a police chase, and they arrested the 2, and the description of the vehicle matched ours, and with a positive ID. So we'll be, when Philadelphia's done with them, we'll bring them back here for an arrest. Motor vehicle thefts, all from U-Haul, and most of those are trucks that just aren't, and vehicles that aren't returned. 5 attempts of thefts from vehicles. 4 of the 5 were catalytic converters, and 1 was a vehicle entered. We had 3 canine usages at the DUI arrest down at 400 Township Line Road at the Sunoco station, Sis Radnor PD, and we had a large drug arrest in Upper Darby. They had made a road stop. They asked for our assistance. A canine officer went down there, Officer Valvardi with bar. He hit on the car. They got a search warrant. They got a large amount of drugs that were hidden in the vehicle. So I just got an email from Superintendent Bernhardt thanking us, and we'll have a formal thank you coming this week. So that's my report.
Thank you. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I?
Sorry, Mr. President, can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. We assisted in Upper Darby, which is great. Now, usually when there's an arrest and property's taken, the car or something, or money, do we get reimbursed from that?
Usually, it gets filtered. By the time it goes through the court system, it's a long, winding process, as you well know. We usually don't get, the vehicles usually get impounded, and the DA's office takes those, and they're usually sold. So we usually don't see anything out of that, no. Yeah. It's great for our canines. It keeps them up to speed, and it's just a great program all around. So.
How much drug? I mean, what kind of drug was it?
It was cocaine, but it was a large,
Really?
but it was really hidden in the car, in a compartment, so it wasn't visible. The dog hit on it, and they had to get a search warrant. Obviously, you can go from there. And they found it if they tore the car apart. So it's a pretty good job.
Yeah, great job.
Yep.
Mr. President,
Mr. Holmes.
Chief, Chief, in the last couple of weeks, there's been stories, a lot of controversy surrounding the shooting in one of our neighboring townships here in Delaware County, and the issue of the policy of police departments with regard to shooting at fleeing vehicles from a scene. One of the things that's come out in that story is that that is not something that's governed statewide or federally, but is township, is police department by police department, as I understand. And so just for the sake of those folks who read the story and are curious about our own policy, if you could just explain it and put it into context of the whole notion of being an accredited police department.
Certainly, Commissioner. As you all well know, last year we became an accredited police department. It was a 10-year process that was finalized last year. So every rule and regulation and directive that we have it goes by a national standard. One of those national standards is shooting at moving vehicles, and it covers that word line by line what an officer is allowed to do. So with those standards, they are updated monthly. It's not just a one-shot deal. We have to go back 3 years from now and be reaccredited, but we are with Sergeant Bedrosian and the lieutenant work on that weekly, and so it is updated monthly. So every one of our directives, and they're online, by the way. In fact, we just had to move where they're more accessible. They were kind of hidden away a little bit. You had to search for them. So when we looked at it again last week, we asked the IT department to move them right on the front of our webpage. So you can click on those and read any directive that we have, with the exception of manpower allotment and certain things we just can't put out there. But the directives, what the officers have to follow, are published, and they go by a national accreditation.
And if you know off the top of your head, if you can summarize what it is for a moving vehicle or a fleeing vehicle.
I'm sorry, say it again?
If it's possible for you to summarize, or just off the top of your head, what the standards are for the moving vehicle.
Well, an officer can't shoot at a moving vehicle unless his life's in absolute danger. If the car is coming at him, if he can move out of the way, he's got to move out of the way. And that has changed over the years, where if a car is coming at you, your standard was you could shoot at it. Now, obviously, things have changed dramatically over the years, and the only time you can shoot at a moving vehicle if a life is in absolute danger, a fleeing felon, a homicide. So it's kind of very explicit. And really, shooting at a moving vehicle, especially if you're chasing one, it's not advisable in any circumstance, because what can happen, as you can see what happened in a neighboring community with the bullets flying everywhere. So it's very, very fine-tuned what an officer can do.
I appreciate that, Chief. I think that'll be comforting for folks who, obviously, this issue raised some questions just about, about all the PDs and ours in particular. So thanks. I know I put you on the spot, but I appreciate it.
No problem at all, Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so next week, the first item, as Commissioner Holmes said, is the final 2022 budget adoption. Does anybody have any comments presently? The next item will be the collective bargaining agreement, which should be ready for us to evaluate next week. Ordinance number P 2021 is a traffic second reading. Any comment? Ordinance number P 2021, the Stadium Cafe lease, the first reading. Again, any comments? Ordinance number P 2021, the Lanark Shopping Center Pensy Trail easement. No. Commissioner Oliva, do you want to comment on that at all?
No, we've been working on this for the last couple of years. Finally, with COVID, got us held up. A trail will be going in, hopefully at the beginning of early next year. Getting all the paperwork out of the way, but it is moving.
Okay. And the easement is going to allow people to park at the end of the trail in the parking lot. And I don't know what the name of the parking lot is now. I'm not sure who owns the.
Yeah, no, it's where Amazon,
Yes.
The Lanark
Shopping
Center.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
we don't know what's going in there. They just stopped work on it over there, so Yeah, it's the Lanark Shopping Center.
Okay, thank you.
It's not, Mr. Chairman, it's not for parking, it's actually to build the trail. Because that section of the trail, the old railroad right of way, is narrower than what it is in most areas. So from, as Commissioner Oliva mentioned, from the Lanark Shopping Center, we're getting about a 15, 20-foot wide section, a strip along it.
Okay.
But the parking still stays private. It's still the shopping center parking.
Is there going to be an agreement that people could park there, or?
There's been no discussions about any kind of an agreement to park in the shopping center for the trail.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that.
Welcome.
Resolution number 2238, 2021 is the annual Karakung Drive closing on Sundays. Next year, in addition to 4th of July and Thanksgiving, will also be closing on Christmas Day.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Hall.
remind me, I'm forgetting. Was it this year that we started doing this, 52 weeks, or was it
This year, yes,
this year, 21?
yes. And it's popular throughout the year. I mean, it's more popular in summer, but you can go there in winter, and there are people, lots of people look forward to it. Lots of dog walking, bike riding, kids learning to ride their bikes on Karakung. It's well used. Resolution number 2239, 2021, it will be the 2022 meeting dates, commissioners, boards, and commissions. Is any comments? The next item next week will be settlement and stipulation, an appeal of the Haverford Township Free Library from the decision of October 7th, 2021 of the Township Zoning Hearing Board. Just to give a little update of where we are and how we got here. In April 2021, the Board of Commissioners voted 6-2 to renovate and expand the library at Mill Road. The plan required the library to obtain variances from the Zoning Hearing Board to proceed with the expansion. The Zoning Hearing Board voted 3-2 to deny the variance request in early October, which led to the Board of Commissioners to unanimously vote to appeal the decision. As a result of the appeal, representatives of the Zoning Hearing Board, the library, and the township were able to meet to see if a settlement could be reached prior to a court hearing. We do have a draft settlement agreement that we will vote on next week. I don't know if anyone has any comments at this point. Contract awards and purchases, Public Works, the Ucluelia Avenue storm sewer replacement. And Mr. Berman, do you want to comment at all?
Yeah, that's a broken storm pipe on Euclid Avenue, and the bids were open today. I don't have the results this evening, but it'll be on your agenda to be approved, assuming all of the bids were in order.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Dave. We've been waiting for that for a long time. Appreciate it.
There'll also be a Scadian Mechanical Systems and Maintenance and Service Agreement, which I think it will be sort of an extension of the agreement we have for the township building.
That's correct. It's the same professional services contract that we have for this building and also for the CREC.
For the Parks and Rec Department, fitness equipment at the CREC.
That is?
Yeah, we're purchasing some new fitness equipment for the fitness center at the Crack. We're purchasing 3 bikes and 4 pieces of strength equipment.
Are other equipment broken or?
No, it's just, we're going to
Adding
still
to it?
use almost all the equipment. We're going to take 1 or 2 pieces out, so we're just really adding some new equipment to it.
I also have a question. Did we ever order the signs for the trails, or we put them in, or?
Yeah, we're working on that, yes.
They
Yeah,
were
the
ordered?
signs it took a long time to get the previous sign, so it's just taking long because of supply chain issues.
Brian, I don't know if you can answer this, or Amy, there's something in there called an inflationary commodity surcharge.
Yeah, we asked them about that, and they just pointed to the challenges they're having with both deliveries and supply chain issues. We did ask specifically about that. She said it's industry-wide. Our vendor, it's Life Fitness, the same person we used, or same company we used previously.
Okay, thank you. Next purchase would be IT, cable, audio and visual equipment. Comments?
What is that? What stuff are we getting to?
So that equipment is to improve our government access channels, the viewing and the audio, and it gives a lot more flexibility to the IT department.
That's great. So we'll all look great on TV now.
Well, look better, maybe. Yes. Next item, the Manoa Fire Company, a fire apparatus, a pumper.
The fire apparatus replacement schedule dates to 2009. This and Lanark and Manoa were next, 1 and 2 on the list. Manoa happened to come forward first with a purchase order. The apparatus is a $618,000 E1 engine, and its lead time is currently approximately 2 years.
But they did their due diligence to get a discount, right?
Thank you for the reminder. Manoa came forward with this purchase order earlier than expected or earlier than Lanark because they had an opportunity to take advantage of the current rates until the end of the year, and then they would go up by approximately 20%. I think that's what they informed me.
Yeah.
And the final purchase, the police department radar message signs. These are the signs that we move around to let people know the speeds.
Yes, Commissioner. Currently, we have 2 trailers, and we have 3 bolt-on signs, which go on the poles, and they're the flashing radar signs that give you speed, tells you to slow down. We also have 2 additional black boxes, we call them, which we do for the, excuse me, for the surveys on different streets. I had asked Dave last week if we could add additional speed trailers because there's so many requests we have from all of you, and we all know what we hear from your constituents or what we hear from comes down to the police department to put those trailers out there to help with the speed control and show people, excuse me, of the speeds that they're going. So they're about 3 weeks out. We'll go pick them up to save $1,000 on shipping. It's a company, State College, which we have used for years. So they have improved greatly. They have more messages on there when you're speeding and say different things. So hopefully this will allow us to spread them out amongst all the wards as the requests come in.
That'd be great. Chief, while we have you, can I get you to comment on the Westchester Pike traffic signal?
So, Steve, I know that you and I have been talking about Westchester Pike for how many years now with the, thank you very much. With the traffic light issue that was installed by PennDOT about 2 years ago. Over the past couple of months, myself, Mr. Berman, and the representative from PennDOT have really been really hitting the companies hard. Paul Lutz, who is the representative from PennDOT, who's been a great advocate for us. The companies have been out there working on the lights, and amazingly, all the problems they have found with equipment, not our equipment, wiring and things like that we think should have been found before. But it is moving forward. A lot of the lights are back online that were offline, that we didn't even know it. Equipment is being replaced. It's being monitored daily, and we're getting reports back daily. So it's very much an active repair process, which is, I wouldn't say even close to becoming complete yet, but it is very much working towards a resolution. The most recent problem we've had has been what we call the triangle, the original traffic lights that were upgraded a few years ago, Westchester Township, Darby, and those 3 intersections. I'm sorry? The triangle down in Lanark. Yes, you've seen them out there a lot. Yes, you see more than one company out there because it's 3 different companies working on them. So, yeah, 3 different companies. So it's just the way the process was laid out. One company sells the equipment, the other company installs it, the other company does the timing and that sort of stuff. So that's been the problem of all the different companies. So that's been a lot of the issues. But like I said, PennDOT has really been on board and really pushing hard to get this resolved. Yeah, I think you've all probably seen some improvement on the traffic flow on Westchester Pike, but back down to the triangle again, with the upgrade for Pico and Aqua, they pulled wiring out of the ground and really messed those lights up down there. We've been getting complaints from Upper Darby, Lansdowne Avenue, massive backups. We finally got to the bottom of it this week. Our contractor, Signal Service, went down and found broken fiber optic cabling, so that should be resolved on Wednesday. So.
The traffic light that's right out here on Darby and Manoa,
Yes.
the arrows, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. When you're traveling up Darby Road, and you're making a left to go down Manoa, the signal, actually, the light stays red. The cars are coming the other direction. The arrow's on the other direction. There's no cars in the turning lane. There's no cars coming, and you sit at that traffic light.
I'll call them tomorrow. After the light was destroyed a few months ago, they've still been tweaking it, trying to get it operating properly. Remember, we had an accident there and knocked that whole system out completely. So I'll call Signal Service tomorrow and tell them.
And Chief, about that spot, can we get a no turn on red sign there, or is that back up?
PennDOT calls for that now.
Okay.
Every year, Dave, why don't you explain how we go through that process with the signage?
Because there was one there, right? And then the crash.
Where are we talking?
Darby
Right here?
Manoa? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Here.
People make that right, or making that right turn. As you're making a left, you have the arrow and you're turning, and people just jump right out in front of you.
Well, it's state road, so PennDOT tells us where to put them, but go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, so we do an inspection, our contractor does twice a year inspections of our signals, and included in that inspection is the deficiencies in any signage that needs to be replaced or doesn't match up to what is permitted by PennDOT. So we'll take a look at that.
I have one more that I'll send you.
Okay.
But we'll look at, they may have not replaced that. I don't remember if it was there before or not. I really don't remember. So,
That timing's messed up. You're sitting there in the turn lane, and the light turns for the other direction, turns green, and you're sitting there. There's no cars. There's no cars coming the other direction.
the more information and work that goes into the newer traffic lights, like anything else, you see more and more problems. But Dave just reminded me that all along Westchester Pike, all that wiring, the internal wiring is being replaced. And that was a lot of the problem, the shielding was bad. Dave, you want to explain a little further? I think you could probably give a little more detail than I can on that.
Not to get too deep into the weeds, but on more than half the intersection, the incorrect wiring had been installed, which didn't have the proper shielding, which had the signals getting interrupted and getting false reads or no reads. So they've been replacing. We'll have a more finite list, but at least half the intersections they've been replaced.
So I think we covered everything, Dave, am I correct?
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, I do have a question. Were we just, sure. So I wanted to go back to the purchase of the traffic trucks and the reason for the increase is there like a gradual increase in traffic studies, or have you seen like a marked increase,
No,
or is there anything that you attribute it to?
All of the commissioners get requests, complaints, I should say, about speeding on different streets at different times. So, I won't say there's a marked increase. We just need more equipment. It's just there's more requests that we want to come back and give you and give your constituents the right study and exactly what's going on, because the perception is you see a car going down the street, they're doing 50 miles an hour. And I think we just shared one recently with you. And when we do these studies, it shows exactly, where, when, how, times, and all that sort of stuff. So it's something that we get so many requests. We don't have enough. They're out there for 7 to 10 days, sometimes longer, and we just don't have enough to go around to satisfy all the requests. So we felt, and hopefully we can buy a couple more of those of the actual black boxes to do more surveys next year, which are considerably cheaper than trailers.
Thanks for doing that. I know I've already gotten several requests, so appreciate
I
it.
warned you.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot more.
Sure, Commissioner D'Amelio.
Dave, where are we? I ask this probably every meeting. Where are we with the Westchester Pike and 476? Have you heard anything? I mean,
Well, it's still in design in earnest, and it's still looking to bid, to go out for bids towards the second half of 2022.
so spring?
Yes.
That'd be awesome, dude.
It is.
The last item on next week's agenda will be a recognition award presented to Lieutenant James Kelly from the Race for Peace organization. Do any of the commissioners have any comments? I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We're adjourned.
Moved.